Story 1. I heard someone say, "We're losing her." My heart was barely beating on the monitor and then it stopped. I felt like I was outside my body, watching everything happen in the emergency room. The doctors and nurses were rushing around trying to bring me back to life. I didn't feel any pain, but I was shocked to see my own body lying on the bed while they worked on me. They used pads to shock my heart, put tubes down my throat, and put IVs in my arm. Then someone tapped my shoulder. I turned around to see who it was, and suddenly I was gone. I found myself in complete darkness, with no floors, walls, or ceiling. I curled up in a ball, hugging my knees and burying my head like in the fetal position. I heard a voice. It was deep, but it made me feel safe. I looked towards the voice and saw a man standing there. He didn't have wings, so I don't think he was an angel. He was wearing a long leather coat that reached the floor and his hair was slicked back. The man seemed to be playing with something in his fingers, even though there was nothing there. It was like he was picking at his nails. He turned his head towards me and asked, "Is this not what you wanted?" I started to cry and replied, "No, it was a silly idea. I was just trying to get attention." Then he said, "Do you see the light?" I looked around and saw a distant light, like a rainbow shining through a prism. It was far away and hard to see, but it was there. That's when he told me, "People who end their lives can't see the light. They stay in darkness." I didn't know if he was trying to scare me or telling the truth, but I didn't want to question him. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Life is a gift, and it's not our choice to end it." At first, I didn't understand what he meant, but later I figured it out. He told me, "It's not your time yet, and I'm sending you back, but you'll have a special purpose when the time is right." I had no idea what he meant, but I agreed. I said, "Thank you," and then I woke up in a hospital bed. I was connected to machines and had tubes in my throat. The nurse told me I had been in a coma for 32 days. I couldn't remember anything from the coma. It was like a big blank in my memory. I wanted to know why I heard voices around me, so I asked the nurse. She asked, "What voices?" I started to worry that something was wrong with my brain, but the nurse assured me that I was perfectly fine. There was no brain damage. When my parents came to visit me, it was a big deal. I had a really tough time growing up as my parents were very strict and didn't even let me have any friends. It made me feel really lonely and sad. When I finally told my parents how I felt and what I did, they were really mad at first. But then they realized that I just wanted a normal childhood. They let me go home, but the doctor said I had to rest in bed and get my strength back before doing anything else. Even though I was home, I still heard voices. It was strange because I could hear dead people talking, but they didn't talk directly to me. When I acknowledged them, they got really excited and started talking to me. It took me a long time to understand what was happening and get used to it. I had to learn how to control it, like turning off a radio to make the voices stop. I only let them talk to me when I wanted to. Now that I'm 58 years old, I use my special gift to help the dead find peace. I also help people who are feeling really down and want to end their lives. I tell them that it's not the right way to solve their problems and explain what could happen if they do. I share my own experiences with them to show them that there's hope. Now I understand why someone sent me back and said I had important work to do. I use my experiences and gifts to help others who are stuck between different worlds or are trapped as spirits on Earth. My gift is really powerful and sometimes it's overwhelming, but I've shown many people that it's real and made them believe in it. This story was shared by Kathy O and happened in 1976. Story 2. When my brother left the room, I thought it would be a good idea to move an old green lamp from my little red desk. As soon as I picked it up, I got a big shock in my head like an electric zap. Suddenly, everything went dark. It felt like I left my body and was being pulled up into the air. I found myself floating in a dark space. But it wasn't like a dream. It was like I became really light and could see everything clearly. I could hear sounds too, but not like music. It was more like the sounds of an organ, which reminded me of when my mom used to play. Maybe my brain was replaying those sounds during this strange experience. The sounds were pure and pleasant. I thought to myself, so this is what it's like. It's not scary at all. Actually, it feels really nice. I didn't feel any fear. In fact, it was quite enjoyable. I started seeing pictures like when you watch an old black and white movie. I saw images of my grandparents, even though my grandpa had passed away. I also saw pictures of my school, the North Sea, and my parents. There were big white letters all around me, like an alphabet soup. Some of the letters formed words. I remember seeing the words bike, Pierre, children, school, and some other words that I can't remember anymore. There were also words that I didn't understand. I felt great during this whole experience. I was satisfied and felt completely reassured. I was also curious about what was happening to me. As I looked into the darkness, I noticed a glowing light in the distance. It was incredibly powerful and hard to describe. It was like sunlight shining through a prism with all the colors mixed together. This light was more than just brightness. It had a special kind of strength. I felt drawn to it, but I couldn't tell if it was coming closer to me or if I was moving towards it. The closer it got, the more I felt an overwhelming love coming from it. This love was so amazing. I had never felt anything like it before, and I never would again. In the distance, I could see a person's shape in the light. I entered a tunnel with dark walls, but I wasn't scared. The tunnel felt soft and comforting. At the end of the tunnel, there was a blinding light and the person's silhouette. I really wanted to see who this person was. The attraction was so strong, and the love I felt was incredibly powerful. I was completely surrounded by the light. I saw a picture of my older brother and mother, and they didn't look well. They needed me. Suddenly, I felt torn between going towards the light and not coming back, or choosing to stay and live for my family. If I hadn't seen my mother and brother, I might have joined the light with the silhouette. I had a feeling that this silhouette was there to protect me, like a guardian. I talked to the being and said sorry for not being able to die and go with it. I had to go back home for my brother and mother. And then, the experience ended. I was suddenly thrown back into my body. It hurt, and I felt like my body was on fire. My mom and brother came into my room. My mom said, "At first we thought you were just playing a prank on us." But I was on the floor, shaking like crazy, and I had this lamp in my hands that were stuck to my face. My mom tried to touch me and got shocked. She had to wrap her hands in a cloth and unplug the lamp to make it stop. I suddenly snapped back into my body. It was hard to breathe, and my mom was still shaking me. She picked me up and put me on my bed. When I finally caught my breath, it felt like my lungs were on fire. I remember my red pantyhose were all wet because I peed myself. I was soaked and couldn't stop shaking. For the next month, I couldn't fall asleep because I was scared that some shadowy figure would come and get me in my sleep. It went on like that for months. Now I can sometimes see things that haven't even happened yet. It's like I can also see into the past of certain people. These images are so strong and freak me out. I can also feel other people's emotions way too much, and it's exhausting. I have too much empathy. Sometimes I feel this overwhelming joy and love, and I can't help but share it with others without even thinking. But some people think I'm trying to flirt with them, which is not true. I just want to be totally free and share the love. I don't need to be connected to people. I can just be there and do nothing. And it feels like it's shared all on its own. It's really hard to explain this feeling, and I can't find the right words. It's like it's beyond me, like it's not even me. This story was shared by Julie VP and happened in 1981.